So the stock market right now is extremely fearful on the back of all these crazy news headlines that are coming out. And then when you go look at your brokerage account and you hit the refresh button, you're probably going to see some red for your day change. You're going to see a lot of volatility in the last couple months right here. But how do we organize our thoughts and filter out the signal versus the noise and truly use this opportunity of volatility and prices going down and valuations getting better to capitalize and make money and not act like the typical retail investor that panics and sells at the exact wrong time? So the first thing that we have to look at, and I cannot stress to you enough how important this chart really is to understand, this chart is going to be the fear greed index with the S&P 500 overlapped on top of it. And there's going to be some crystal clear things that you can learn from this to how to organize your thoughts right now to capitalize and make a little bit of money. Let's take a look at this. So the orange line right here is obviously the S&P. The blue line right here is obviously going to be the fear greed index. Notice how when the fear greed index is often in these low categories right here, do you notice how most of those times right there were buying opportunities, at least for the next 6 months to follow that time frame? When you were down in this very low category, or 6 months or even longer, when you were in this very low category, the future expected returns for the market were very, very strong. Take a look at what happened right here for Liberation Day tariffs. The fear greed index was literally at a level of 2.9. 2.9, that is insane how low that was. Extreme fearful, extreme pessimism out there in the market in that time frame. But take a look at what happened on the actual S&P 500 chart. Clearly up and to the right, this was a major move that happened right there. Take a look at how much the Nasdaq went off of that bottom right there too to right now. From bottom of Liberation Day tariffs to right now, it's up 44%. But down here, people were freaking out and they were panicking and they did not want to be in the stock market. They were very fearful. Tensions were flaring. But guess what? That ended up being one of the best times to deploy capital and buy. Buying shares, buying call options, selling portfolio secured puts. This was a good time to do it. Now take a look at what's happening right now. You can see that the market's kind of been rolling over like I showed you in a previous chart. And our fear greed index is now at a level of 20. So we're now just barely into the extreme fear category. And is this just history repeating itself over, or is this going to be a trap? In my opinion, history is just repeating. So when we're seeing this volatility right here, where the market's going down, it's becoming cheaper, safer, and more compelling. But then when you go look at all the news headlines online, it's like Iran's going to let no oil go through the Strait of Hormuz. Inflation's going to go up. The Fed's going to have to raise interest rates. The labor market's weakening. All this crazy stuff. But as an investor, how much of that stuff actually matters? Like if we just jump forward 5 to 10 years in time and look backwards and say, does this stuff really actually matter? The answer is probably going to be a no. So when we go look at this chart, when you're in the moment in the heat of the exchange when these negative catalysts are happening, many people freak out and they panic and they sell at the exact wrong time. And that is why most retail investors, they underperform the stock market by quite a bit in the long term because they can't keep their emotions in check. They let their emotions get the best of them. They read a news headline that says the stock market's going to keep falling. They watch Jim Cramer and he confirms that thesis. They watch another YouTube video that fearmongers them into saying, oh my God, the market's going to crash so that that YouTuber gets more views. All of that is baloney. Okay? We're going to simplify this stuff right here. When there is fear in the market, that is usually the time to buy and the time to allocate. And I'm not saying that every single dip is a buy. And what I'm saying right now is the little thing that we got right now, if you want to call it a dip, I am not saying that this is a generational wealth building opportunity right now. It is not. We are getting things on sale. We are now down roughly 6% on the NASDAQ from all time highs, but this is not like we have a 30, 40, 50% crash right now, guys. But if you look at the fear greed index, it's priced to extreme fear. It is priced like this is a 40, 50% market crash, but it's not. And a lot of that is simply because look at what the market did the last 5 years. This time frame, coming off of the 2022 bottom, the market's been literally straight up and to the right. And the problem with that is that many investors got used to seeing this. They got used to seeing this up and to the right motion. And they also got used to seeing stuff like this. The second the market goes down, it goes bam like a rubber band and rebounds right back up. But what you're seeing right now is more of a rollover top and probably going to be a rollover recovery. So what I think the stock market's going to do is I do think that we potentially could have more downside, but I don't think it's going to be some very sharp downside that's just going to just keep crashing and go down, put us into a major, major recession. I just think that after we had this big move right here and we got a little bit disconnected from the fundamentals, the market's just simply taking a breather and allowing earnings per share, the number one thing that moves the price of stocks in the long term, just giving that time to catch up. And I'll show you a couple charts on that too. But my cursor right here is going to be the end of 2026 So I think that somewhere like mid 2026 we'll find a bottom, and then we'll see some sort of Nike swoosh recovery. I don't think it's going to be a V-shaped recovery like we saw right here. It's going to be more of a rounded recovery, simply because valuations up here were a little bit high, and now we need time for valuations to simply catch up. We have a lot of things happening right now that are negative catalysts. Interest rates are maybe going to stay flat for a little bit of time because inflation's trending up a little bit. We have the Strait of Hormuz that's going on, oil prices are going up, inflation fears might come back. We just got inflation data that came out where it truly is showing up in the data. So when you have higher inflation, it's just less likely you're going to get interest rate cuts. That's how it works. But without getting into the weeds of all these negative news headlines, whatever you want to call it, we have to look at a couple charts of history because history does not repeat, but history does rhyme, guys. Chart number 1 right here. This is a chart called S&P 500 versus pundits. This goes from 2012 till 2018. Basically, this line right here is obviously going to be the stock chart, okay? And all these headlines right here are from very big investors, analysts, hedge fund managers, whoever, calling for market crashes. Jeff Gundlach right here, sell everything. Can easily give back 5 years of gains to $1,100. This guy says he predicts 50% unemployment, 90% stock market crash, 100% annualized inflation. Mark Faber, a major stock market correction is coming. All this noise through here, we'll call it, all these headlines, I would view them as a broken clock. Look at Carl Icahn, danger ahead. Right here, he said danger ahead after the market fell. Market fell. He got emotional. Market was close to the bottom. It did a little pump and then went back down. But if you would have bought right here and then held through this time frame, you would have made a lot of money. And keep in mind, this only goes till 2019. Carl Icahn said danger ahead. Like every single negative headline here is what I'm getting at. Every single headline was wrong. Every single one. 100% of the headlines here. We're wrong, guys. Think about that. Let that click in your brain. Every negative catalyst that happened here was wrong because the S&P 500 right now, it's over $6,000. But when you look at this chart, the max right here it goes to is $2,800. What does that tell you? Most of this stuff is noise. Buy good companies at good prices when they're on sale, good prices, and then hold them. When the market's pumping to the moon like this is when retail's piling in. That's not the best time to pile into a 1 or 2 month call option that you want to do. You want to do that stuff down here is what I keep trying to say on this channel to you guys. And if we look at the other chart, which shows more catalysts, and this goes from 2009 till 2017, we had 663,000 jobs that were lost in March. The total tops 5 million coming out of the 2008 Great Financial Crisis. Chrysler and GM file for bankruptcy, oil spill, flash crash, S&P 500 downgrades to U.S. debt, gold peaks out, temper tantrum, Ebola, Brexit, crude oil, the VIX, elections, stocks go nowhere for 20 months. All of these headlines, they don't match exactly what's happening right now, but they sure do rhyme a little bit, right? They look very similar. So the point that I'm getting at is this. When we take a look at this chart, like we talked about in the beginning of this video, and you see the market rolling over, and you see the fear greed index dropping, I'm not saying to YOLO everything. I'm not saying to go bet the house. I am saying to start allocating to the S&P 500, to the NASDAQ, to good companies at good prices, and you will very likely do very well in the long term. If you have a 3-month time horizon, I don't know what the market's going to do in a 3-month period, but I know that when you buy from times like this where the market is beat up, and if the market keeps going down, it gets more beat up. You can see we're at 6,500 for the S&P, by the way. We looked at this chart right here. It only goes to 2,800. Every single headline here was wrong. Just want to show you that. But when you buy in times like this, when people are fearful, when you sell put options, you're going to get the highest premium because everybody wants put options. They want to protect their downside. So you sell them for top dollar. Then when the market rebounds and sentiment is good, like we'll say the market rebounds here, sentiment went from literally 2.9 on a fear greed to all the way up here at a level of 77, which is now greed, extreme greed. So when you sell a put right here for top dollar, then the market rebounds and the sentiment flips, nobody wants puts anymore, right? The put option premiums drop a lot. So you sell it for 20K, you can buy it back for just say 5K. You made a little bit of money right there. Call options. Who wants to buy call options right here when the sentiment is bad? Nobody. These are typical retail investors, like retail investors, hedge funds, professional investors, whatever. All humans think the same for the most part. So you have to have the contrarian take, the opposite take essentially, and say when stocks are falling, they're on sale, and that is a time to buy. If you buy a car at a dealership and it's $50,000 today, but you want it. And then tomorrow they call you up and say it's $45,000 and it's the exact same car. You want that car, right? That would make you excited. But can you imagine if you would plot a fear greed index for the car market? If the share price goes down and the car price goes down, do you think people are going to get more excited or less excited? They're going to get more excited because they're buying things on sale. But when you take a look at your portfolio, and the market's open right now, just refresh this. You take a look at your portfolio and you see all this real time fluctuation. It's just like, oh my God, I lost $9,000 today. No, I didn't. This is just unrealized money right here. This is just bouncing around normal day to day volatility. You can see that my volatility factor, the NASDAQ is down roughly 0.69 right now. S&P is down 0.68. I am down very similar to that. I have my downside beta, my downside volatility factor, very similar to what the NASDAQ and S&P are. The Dow's down more, I'm down less than a Dow. The Russell's down a little bit less, I'm down a little bit more than a Russell. So my downside right now in the market is going to be similar to the S&P and NASDAQ. But how I allocate in these time frames is I increase my risk. I increase my exposure. I increase the calls that I buy, increase the puts that I sell, because this is the time to do it. I sell puts for top dollar, buy calls for bottom dollar, buy shares when they're on sale, and I'm looking forward in the market. Like if we take a look at this chart right here, guys, I am not looking at what is happening in the market in 3 or 6 months from right now. I am looking over here. I'm looking at where the earnings per share is going and knowing that the stock market's going to follow that in the long term. And if you just go on Google, I'll do this with you live. Go on Google, type in S&P 500 P ratio fact set. We can see this together. Updated March 12th. It doesn't matter. The chart's going to be very similar to whenever you're watching this right now. These things don't change that much on a daily basis. It updates every Friday right here, by the way, just so you know. You can see that the darker line is the S&P 500 earnings per share. The darker line, the smoother one. The lighter line is the actual index itself. Do you see the trend? Do you see the correlation? When you buy, when people are freaking out, when the market is below the earnings per share growth line, the future returns are great. And when you see that we're stretched above the earnings per share growth line a little bit right now, do you see that the future expected returns probably aren't going to be that good? So when we get this Iran news, when we get the oil news, the inflation news, the negative catalysts, it shouldn't shock you that the market is going down on that news, because the market is taking a breather on valuations, and it oftentimes just needs like a little kick in the butt to bring the valuations down to where they need to be. Now, on the flip side, earnings per share growth is very, very strong. The economy is holding up. The labor market's holding up. AI is great. Capital expenditures are very strong in AI, and true efficiencies are coming. Profit margins are at records right now. So when you take the compilation of everything that we talked about so far, shake it up, put it into a jar and say, what the heck do we do, Brandon? Summarize this and make it simple. This is what it's going to be. Build your portfolio in a way where you could survive a 50% crash and capitalize in it too. So buy good companies at good prices, build your base portfolio, S&P 500, NASDAQ, quality individual companies, good company, good price, moat, pricing power, good valuation, stuff like that. And hold them for some time. Hold them for a few years. And when you find an ultra compelling setup, only at that time do you use stock options. Only do stock options when things are ultra compelling, because options are just a way to magnify something. If you're really bullish, go sell portfolio secured puts. If you're super duper bullish, you can then go buy calls. And let's just look at this on a chart for how we actually do the hierarchy of buy shares, sell puts versus buy calls. Let's say that we are bullish on Triple Q. Sure, you could go buy some shares. If you're super bullish, you could go sell portfolio secured puts. Let's say we go 1 or 2 years out. I have a lot of videos on this stuff, by the way. You could go search my channel. I have a playlist actually made too. Everything Stocks and Options Guide. You could just go look at my channel. There's a bunch of stuff for that. Watch that whole playlist. But we're bullish, we buy shares. We're super bullish, we could sell portfolio secured puts. Let's say that we do a 2-year portfolio secured put. We pick a strike price. We'll just say 560 because it's already here to keep it simple. 560 strike, 2 years out. What do we need in order to be profitable in that trade? The share price could go up, could stay flat, it could go down in the strike price, and then it could go down to the strike price minus how much premium you receive till you actually break even. So you have a lot of flexibility with sold puts, and the time value actually helps you. Every day that goes by, the contract goes down in value. But when you buy call options, you can make a lot more money, but it's also a lot harder. It's kind of like swinging for a home run versus selling puts is going for the base hit. And buying shares is basically just like, just walking to home plate to go, hit the ball. Buying calls, you need the share price to go up, and you need it to go up fast, because you have theta, the time value, eating away your call contract every single day. and you need to get the contract to at least above your break even price, or you're not going to make money on expiration date. So it's kind of like the hierarchy of how I flow this stuff. So I'm going to link a playlist here that I recommend you watch every single video. It's truly going to help you out about how I analyze companies, how I do stock options, and trust me, it's going to change your life and filter out the noise so you have a crystal clear idea of how to invest like a real investor. So that being said, the playlist will be right here. I'll see you guys there.